What's good? It's Wood. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel if you are into the fight talk. Marlon Moraes, 23-6-1 versus Cory Sandhagen, 12-2. Marlon's 32 years old, Cory's 28. So why are people suddenly so cool on Marlon Moraes when just a year and a half ago he was stopping Rafael Assunção in the first round of a fight night main event? Well, there's an answer to that. It's that in an even higher profile fight, a pay-per-view headline versus Henry Cejudo, who was clearly the A-side, Moraes seemed to be the bigger guy since he was the established 135 bantamweight during that TJ Dillashaw era, whereas Cejudo had been at flyweight. Well, in that high-profile showdown, Moraes got off to what I thought was a pretty commanding start before quickly and noticeably fatiguing, fading, and then getting finished by Cejudo late in the third. That was what happened to Moraes when the most eyeballs were on him. And I think that a lot of people remember that and think, that guy? Then in his only fight since that, he was chosen to be Aldo's welcome to the division opponent when Aldo dropped from 145 featherweight, where he'd been for over a decade, and they fight a very close and competitive fight, and Moraes was awarded the decision win. Unfortunately, this fight featured the beloved elder statesman Jose Aldo, who almost everyone in and out of the arena wanted to win. So after the scorecards were announced, it was almost like MMA fans and press collectively said, "F you, Marlon Moraes." Look, this guy just comes to fight and delivers elite level striking fight after fight, and I think that he's gotten a raw deal reputationally. Not a particular dislike overall, but maybe something even worse: disinterest. Shoot, if you look at Moraes' run before that loss to Cejudo, where, yeah, there was definitely a vulnerability when you saw that momentum swing into Henry's favor, but Moraes had just dropped and stopped Assunção, knocked Jimmy Rivera out basically with a head kick, although he finished him with the punches, and he knocked Aljamain Sterling out with the knee at the end of 2017. And that's Aljamain Sterling who, fast forward 2.5 years, just choked Cory Sandhagen out within a couple of minutes of their fight. Stunning result. And this is Sandhagen's first fight since, versus this Marlon Moraes elite striker who probably now has a major chip on his shoulder too, because not only did he gain nothing popularity wise after beating Jose Aldo, but who Dana White in the UFC then totally sidestepped to instead give Aldo a shot at the 135 title that Henry Cejudo just vacated. Oh, the disrespect. But that was business. Still, what type of motivation does that give Moraes, still ranked #1 contender, who's now put on a fight night headliner versus the guy who we were just giving a 50-50 shot versus Aljamain Sterling? I expect Moraes to really want to make a statement. Can he exercise this opportunity with his elite Muay Thai striking and excellent jiu-jitsu over a guy who's got to be extraordinarily hungry himself, having been so close to being an elite name in the game, then running into the disappointment and embarrassment of having that evaporate in 2 minutes in the biggest fight of your life? I think that both of these guys have a list of things to watch out for, although the items on that list would be very different things. If Moraes is concerned about fatiguing and fading in a 5-rounder, Cory's concern could be that the suddenness of the moment might make all of the 5-round ability null and void. Marlon Moraes can end a fight, and he can end a fight quickly. But I do think that if this goes past 3, Moraes is likely in trouble. Although I have no 5-round Sandhagen fight that I could point to either. Maybe I'm just making an assumption based on his, we'll call it, ectomorphic build. The skinny, less muscular biker build. And by biker, I mean cyclists, not Hells Angels. He's built like your typical cross-country runner. In Sandhagen's fight with John Lineker last year, a 3-round decision win for Cory, Cory seemed to be the one who would be more prepared to go an additional 2 rounds if need be, even if Lineker was the one with actual 5-round experience. That's just the eyeball test, based on the volume and how Cory can strike while controlling distance and spending less energy per strike since he has the longer legs. He doesn't have to move his feet an extra step to close the distance or to get out of range. It's the shorter fighter who's got to almost double the leg paces or widen the steps in order to close the distance. And Sandhagen's about to have a 5-inch height advantage versus Moraes. That's potentially a big problem for Marlon if this goes well into the 3rd round and beyond. I'm inclined to say that the most likely result on this fight, percentage-wise, in terms of just like the likelihood of it taking place, would be Sandhagen via decision, because I can't see him taking control in the final 2 rounds Although I could be underestimating Moraes and placing way too much emphasis in the way he lost to Cejudo. Which goes back to the original question at the top of the video about why are people suddenly so cool on Moraes and his abilities and chances of being champion again. But you know what? I mean, Sandhagen and Cejudo are very different fighters, very different bodies, different skills. I can also see Sandhagen winning via late TKO or submission for the same reasons that he could win by decision. Only difference being Cory's willingness to take more chances and push for a finish. But it's actually Moraes who's had the much deeper win via submission history. He's the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt to Cory's brown belt. Now that obviously doesn't always tell the complete or even accurate story, but it's worth noting. Moraes, because of his brilliant Muay Thai and kickboxing abilities, is often undervalued in his ground game. And in the stand-up, Moraes is about as electric as they come in the lower divisions. With the odds placing Sandhagen as a pretty significant favorite, nearly 1.5 to 1, like a minus 175, whereas Moraes is like a plus 150, basically a 1.5 to 1 underdog. I'd be tempted to put a little money on Moraes to win. If I wanted to be more specific and more daring, I'd say by stoppage. But hypothetical bets aside, who am I going with? Sandhagen might get hurt in the first round or two, maybe hurt badly, but I think he'd be able to dig deep, can weather the storm, and come out with the 5-round decision win of his life. Certainly the biggest win of his career. So I'll go with Sandhagen via decision. But I expect Moraes to bring his A game. And honestly, if Moraes wins via first or second round KO or submission, I'd be thinking, why didn't I just go with my gut, stop overthinking, and just go with the multi-disciplined black belt and electrifying striker with the chip on his shoulder? But it bees like that sometimes when I can't control the rhyme. That's a Keith Murray line, the MC. I'm going Cory via decision, but let me know your thoughts on this fight and on the state of the 135 division. Since we should be getting Petr Yan and Aljamain Sterling for the title, where does this Moraes-Sandhagen fight fit into that picture? Is it the next up? And what should we expect when former champ TJ Dillashaw returns from suspension? That's kind of the wild card here, isn't it? I mean, damn, how quickly things change. But please, leave your comments in the comments. Like the video, subscribe to the channel if you are into the fight talk. I'm Woog. Thanks for tuning in.